Hi, good afternoon, friends. Let's proceed further with the playlist, which is going to focus on the title Importance of Grammar in Research. Now, when I'm talking about importance of grammar, I'm focusing more on the English language rather than any other Indian language that is being used for the research. So, let me remind it once again that yes, this is going to be the topic specifically that I'm going to focus upon is the importance of the English grammar in research, and especially the way we use grammar, and what is the importance of it, and how to go ahead and focus on this area also side by side. Now, when I'm talking about what kind of importance is given to grammar in research, I have seen that whenever you are talking about research, or you're referring to research, either it is communicative part of it, written aspect of it, or the verbal aspect of it. And I have seen that yes, no matter where you are, in case your communication skills are the best one, you can be successful in every area. And in case you are not, then it becomes difficult. Now, is it the case even in research? That's what I wanted to find out. And I have seen in different areas of knowledge, let it be from law and legal studies, number one, journalism, mass communication, number two, public relations. Then I'm talking about public policies. I'm even speaking about engineering sector, architecture, then management studies, and definitely the different parts of the management studies like commerce, finance, and HR. You can go to logistics, supply chain, etc., etc., etc. Now, similarly, if we are talking about research, there were few questions which were asked to me specifically, that are we talking about only for the academic research writings? My answer would be no, it's not just confined to the research writings. However, even when you go ahead and are giving some kind of a presentation, or you're delivering a lecture, or I would say presenting your own area of the research, I would say, especially in the conferences, workshops, faculty development programs, national or international conference, seminars, it can be. Now, in the same manner, I have seen during the internships. Now, it's not just for the faculties. I'm talking about even the students who literally go ahead and take up for the higher studies. And why only higher studies? I would say even at the undergrad level, I do remember that my law students, they were really asked to focus upon the legal and general English. Now, the paper was titled as General Language and Legal Studies. Under that, they had to focus exclusively on the English grammar. Now, the question was asked, why English grammar? Now, when we talk about English, I literally mean British English. Reason Indians inherited, I would say, in double quotes, quote unquote, that the language was specifically taken from the Britishers itself. So we follow the British English in that manner. If it is so, do we really know, even while giving a presentation, how to go ahead and pronounce the words or or the or the, even these subtleties also one should know. Like, for example, let's say a book is on the table. So do we say a book on the table or a book on the table? So what is the differences in this pronunciation? Similarly, I have seen the pronunciation of the and the. Now, is it the book or the book? So these are certain subtleties and intricacies for the verbal language on one side. And when it comes to the written aspects of the research, no matter which domain of knowledge you belong to, I see that yes, there is a lot of differences are there, and one should give importance to the language, especially with the grammar, and you cannot ignore it. Now, otherwise, it seems as though, let's say, if I come from Andhra and I know Telugu language very well because that's my mother tongue, and if I'm trying to speak the English language, is it the direct translation from Telugu to English? Now, Panini, who is the father of grammar, the Sanskrit grammar, if you pick up his book, he has very clearly mentioned that yes, or even Chomskyan philosophy, if you read it, they have said it's a literal translation of it. Now, if that is so, then how is it that we are going to focus on the English grammar and move towards the research? Because most of us are doing the research and the publications are in the English language. So that's how the things started off for me, and there were a few queries which were raised out that do we really have to focus on grammar while we are writing a thesis or a dissertation, or let's say a report or a presentation, or even that includes even the publication of a paper? And my answer is absolutely yes. You need to focus on the grammar part also. And that's why my second point is the manner in which grammar is being used under various headings and sections of the academic research writings. And I'll be showcasing to you certain things, which you can see in newspapers on a daily basis if you are in a habit of reading the newspapers, the cartoons. Now, it's only the creativity that plays around in those sarcasm or criticism of certain things, or even the humor that you can see, or the wit that you are looking at it. So we will look at all these aspects also in this particular playlist, while I'll be picking it up and showcasing to you the manner in which grammar is being used under various headings and sections of the academic research writings. Now, what do I mean by this? Now, we know that there is a flow in which research writing has to be written, and then we carry forward. Now, is it similar to the way I speak English and then my written English is very different? Like if you know French, spoken French language as well as the written languages are very different in France. Now, similarly, if you learn Chinese, you will see that theirs is basically the pictographs, that how the way they write it down is totally in those pictures, the diagrams that they are taking care of it. However, the manner they speak Mandarin is totally very different. So, if you are reading those papers, even the pronunciation of their names becomes very different. Even look at the word pronunciation or pronunciation. The differences are there for us within our own spoken English also, side by side. So you will see, if I'm writing an introduction, how the things are coming up when I write a review of literature or a systematic literature review. Similarly, while identifying certain other parts of the research writing, we will see all these things coming up, and you will see whether you really require a training, or you require some grooming lessons, or some points should be given to you so that you are making a cheat sheet and it is being pinpointed out in your own, pinned, I would say, on your study table. So can you proceed further in that way and understand it? Similarly, importance of the English grammar. Now, when I'm talking about grammar, I'm talking about parts of speech, verb, noun, then adjective, adverbs. How many of us really know or remember them? Is it very easy to remember all these things? Even if I ask you a simple thing, it becomes very difficult for us to understand. So, English grammar, does it really play a very important role? My answer is again absolutely yes. So we will see how it is. Now, similarly, the flow of the writings in the research. Now, there has to be a flow in the, and that maintaining the flow of your own creative writing is very, very difficult. Very difficult. It has to be a continuous flow, whereas there is no disturbance of any kind whatsoever near your surrounding when you're writing a piece of work for yourself. So how do you get that flow? How do you maintain? Is there some aspect of creativity which is there, or you are blessed with the English grammar or the English language? How do you proceed further? So this is also something that we are going to look into it and carry forward. How to identify the importance of grammar in research? Now, if you are I would say necessary reader. Now, you see, earlier, I know it very well. When I was a student, I used to see that, once you become a lecturer, assistant lecturer, associate lecturer, then a time came when you turn out to be a reader in the department. So, nowadays, I don't see a reader, existence of that reader. Now, why the reader is so much important? Okay, so the grammar aspect of it, the way you are going to read a particular paper or a particular piece of writing, or you're involved yourself into writing, grammar literally plays a very important role for us. So I going to showcase to you that yes, if you are picking up some paper in front of you, the introduction, how you read it, especially not even introduction, I would go first with the abstract itself. Now look at the words that you are there. If you see this kind of a grooming session or the training sessions is taking place, I mean, I would say that yes, there has to be some workshop, so that the paper and a pen and necessarily for 1 week, if you are able to do it, trust me, the next week onwards, after seventh day, on the eighth day, you are going to be involved and you know how to maintain those grammar points, grammatical points in your own papers, also paper or writing, I would say, in that manner. Now similarly, we all talk about a review of literature, systematic literature reviews and everything. Now do we really know how to write a review of the literature? Now when I'm saying writing, I'm not thinking that yes, I'm looking for this and this. There is a grammar again involved into it, and we will see those things also when I'll be showcasing to you some of the papers, or which have been published, and they have got the highest number of citations also. Identifying the gaps, this becomes very important, and I'll show you a very important part of it. And then the question whether English grammar is really important or not, you yourself will be taking a call on it. The usage of the English grammar, for me, it would be like parts of speech, which is very much necessary, and the written part of it. Now when I'm talking about written part, I'm looking for tenses, and you will see what all things are required for us when we are talking about double quotes, quote unquote, I would say. I'll put the grammar over it. Now similarly, I have seen students take it up very, very lightly. However, it is the duty of the faculties who are there that in a very naive, or I don't know what how you would approach to your students and make them aware that yes, at least try to write at least 5 to 10 sentences, if not 10 sentences, at least write 5 sentences. Now I have seen, while I'm teaching the engineering students, within the engineering branch itself, computer science students are able to write in any manner. I mean, they don't have any problem either with the spoken English or with the written English. Now I've seen them, they are very good communicators. However, when I jump to electronic or electric engineering, then civil engineering, the other part of the engineer branch, electrical engineering, that's the problem, especially with the civil engineers. Now I have seen that it becomes so difficult for me to make them understand, can you write, I'll just my teaching sessions had been focused more and more on the written aspect of it. So I conduct those kind of workshops wherein person really understands certain things while you are writing. So written aspect is really important. And even before the written aspect, I would classify that yes, if you have a paper or a textbook, or let's say a piece of paper presentation which is there, how to read it, how to critically analyze it, then comes what you're gathering from that knowledge that you have gained, and ultimately how you're going to put it into your writing. Now these are certain steps that you will see in the coming videos of mine in under this particular playlist. Now, apart from that, you will even see another aspect which I really like to focus on specially, and that is on this particular mind map. Now, if you look, I've just pinpointed how many things again are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, the first one is logic and language. Now, I whenever start off from some kind of a sessions, I would say, for any particular let's say engineering branch, or management studies, or architecture, law, legal studies, journalism, mass communication, film studies, humanities, social sciences, I would definitely start off my first 2 weeks exclusively on logic. I give the fundamentals of logic, which are very mandatory because they really help you to structuralize your thought processes. And that's why logic and language for me is very important. And I have seen, I start off with subject and predicate, all of us know. However, when I'm talking about logic, we give a lot of importance to them also. So we have to understand, there's a special training sessions on that also, side by side. Then I'm talking about the thoughts process. Now, there has to be the thought process which is taking place from step number 1 to step number, let's say, 25 or 30. It's very, very much mandatory. The next step would be from mind, whatever your thought processes are taking place. Okay, the mind, that's what I would say. To paper, if you are a traditional person, you can definitely use a notebook, which I do it till date. It's not that only as a student I have done. I think even now I consider myself to be a student, and I prefer to write it. Now, after writing it, how do you take it to your computer? In the sense that, if you want to create something, or you want to write a paper, or whatever, the choice is yours. So from mind to paper to computer, how you are going to do it, and how the language and the logic are, together are helping you to proceed further. Similarly, critical thinking process. Now, this is again, I see that we don't have so many classes, even in the management or commerce or finance, let's say the other areas also, where you are giving importance to critical thinking process. However, in social sciences, humanities and arts, especially in let's say literature, any literature you take it up, or for that matter, or even political science, we give little bit of importance to critical thinking process, where the student is able to understand, present his or her own arguments, is able to understand the fault, understand the fallacy, or present and paradox, or a dilemma. These are certain things which are necessary to understand. Otherwise, how do you think in a paper you're going to utilize a word like paradox if you do not know what exactly a paradox is? Similarly, if you do not know what a fallacy is, now for example, if I tell you, find out the differences between fallacy, error, mistakes, how would you understand unless and until you do not know? For example, in Hindi or Urdu, we have differences between ishq, मैंने इश्क किया है, मैंने मोहब्बत किया है, या मैंने प्यार किया है. The differences between all the three are very different. That's why you see in films you have इश्क हो गया है हमारा और आपके साथ, या हम आपसे मोहब्बत करते हैं, or the third one would be प्यार करते हैं, which is the most. Now, what is the difference between all the three? Did you ever thought about it? In the same manner, how do you differentiate fallacy, mistake, and error? So, any language you pick up, there are the subtleties are there, and one needs to understand how to use them. So, I did not, yes, I have that point. Let's go backward now. I'm taking up the fifth point, language usage. First and foremost, vocabulary. I showcase right now by taking the words ishq, mohabbat, pyar. What is the difference between all the three words? Can I say that मेरे को इश्क हो गया है, या मेरे को मोहब्बत हो गया है, या मेरे को प्यार हो गया है, or all three same? No, they are not. Like in English equivalent, we just have one word, that is let's say love, or passion, or admirer, or it can be a lover, or it can be there is one more word which I'm forgetting. I'll showcase to you later on. I'll definitely will be coming up with that word also. You will see that there are different levels of understanding these different words. So vocabulary in that way is going to be very, very important for us to understand. Similarly, the creativity, we all know English words. However, if you will see, if I give you let's say a list of 50 words, and if I say, okay, use only these 50 words and you prepare a story for me, now are you able to do that? It becomes very difficult, right? Creativity flows. Now, how, once you you possess those words knowledge, you have got that verbatim with you. However, the creativity from person to person is very different. Now, try this as an exercise all by yourself, and you will be checking out that yes, the creative levels are very different. Now, similarly, continuity. Now, the flow in which we are thinking. Now, maybe I might be very good at the spoken level. However, my written or yes, the written communication is very bad. So how do you balance, how do you maintain that continuity, that yes, whatever you're thinking you're able to speak, as well as you're going to use your fingers to write that particular thing in the written language. So that's what I want to talk about, continuity. Or even the entire paper that you're writing, what kind of a continuity are you looking into it? Have you seen the differences which are coming in? Now flow, that's what I said, the flow in your writing. Some of us are really blessed. After some time, try this exercise. Now if you have written something, after a few minutes, I would say that you are not able to move ahead. It becomes very difficult. You say, no, I cannot write, mere haath thak gaye hai. You will have that layman's excuse, or you will say, I cannot think anymore, or I think bas isse zyada main nahi likh sakti. Now, this is the exact words I find in people who come and say that, yes, sorry, I cannot write more than this. So, how do you understand the language usage? Now, coming back to point number 2, here, parts of speech, we need to know active and passive voice. Okay, now similarly, when you're writing, if you have used Grammarly to check your own piece of writing, I'm talking about Grammarly, the software, you will see that the first mistake which Grammarly always identify is you have written it in passive voice. Then the suggestion, can you write in active voice? So how do you differentiate these two things? Now, I have seen that in my writings, I have my own style, short sentences, and sometimes I use more of passive voice, and I'm very honest about it. And I'll show you those kind of examples also, taking care of the Grammarly and even the way Grammarly is giving you, identifying your own mistake. There's nothing wrong. Maybe first 10 times or 15 times or 25 times you do the mistake. Maybe once you are writing for the 55th time, you are writing absolutely correct English sentence. No, that is how you are supposed to learn them basically. So active and passive voices, usage of them is very important. Direct and indirect speech, majority of us, we do not know. Use of verbs, this is something very very difficult. I don't know, many of us do not know how to use the words have, has, had, or is. So I have the food, or I have the driver with me. I mean, I don't know how you're going to justify yourself by using the words have and is or has. So one has to be very careful. Similarly, sentence formation. Now sometimes, if you are in a hurry, your sentences are very badly formed, so you have to understand how well you are taking care of it. Okay, so these are some aspects of the parts of speech that I'm going to focus upon. Similarly, you have got identifying the gaps. Now, this is a wonderful thing that from past 3 months I'm focusing by picking up the research papers from each and every domain. And surprisingly, I have seen not at the papers which are being published. However, in the thesis writing, maybe at the PhD level, I would say. I mean, majority of them I have found out at the PhD level only. I have seen the scholars saying that yes, this and this has been taken place. So, for me, that's the biggest identification as a gap for me. So I'm literally very happy about it. So the usage of the first person, the way we use the second person or the third person. Now I have kept it 3 separate headings for them rather than under one heading. There's a reason behind it. Similarly, groups or single, you will see the differences coming in when I pick up the topic on the identification of the gaps also. Similarly, the fourth one that I'm going to focus upon is correct grammar usage. Now, here when I'm talking about correct grammar usage, I'm talking about tenses, I'm talking about subject and predicate, I'm talking about time. And I'm so sorry, this is not time, this has to be date. We will see the chronology part of it, and we will definitely focus on this area also. There are some more aspects of it which we will see once I'm able to come up with more examples for you, and I'll be showcasing those ones especially for in this particular playlist. Now similarly, how about now the title is how about checking out with an example, a few examples, which I'm very very happy and very excited to showcase to each one of you, so that this becomes easier for us to understand what is the importance of English language. I mean, no matter from which background you're coming in. Hindi, if I pick it up, it will be very difficult. So that's not my scenario at the moment. I would say right now I'm just focusing on English grammar. So let me pick up some papers or theses or dissertations and see to it as to how these things are coming in. So let us start off with one paper, not the paper, it has to be a thesis, which is one of my favorite one, and I'll start off discussing about it a little bit with all of you. Till then, thanks and take care. Bye.